It is finally react time. I have not been reacting nearly as much. I know you guys probably found my Twitch channel because of reacting in a lot of ways. So we're back at it. Checking out some videos today on stream. This one is titled 10 Things People Need to Stop Saying. Stop it. About Star Citizen from Erad Prime. This was a week ago. And I can't imagine that I am not one of the people on the list that have to stop saying things in his opinion. Because I've been saying the same things for 10 years and nobody listens. So, 10 things people need to stop saying. Here we go.
I have now been backing Star Citizen for 12 years, and I've been covering this game here on YouTube for the past 6 years, and of course I've read and heard plenty of opinions or commentaries about Cloud Imperial Games project, but sometimes they were justified and informed, and other times they were completely missing the mark. And so that's what I want to be doing today in today's video, a little recap of the best of, or should I say the worst of, what people are saying about Star Citizen, or maybe
it says flop take. I think it meant top 10 takes.
Star Citizen. Of course, some people will not agree, and that's totally fine. If you have something to add or something to say, please feel free to let us know in the comment section down below. As long as everybody remains respectful, it's all good and fun here. This is just a relaxed, casual little video, just so we can have a little fun. So here we go. Let's get to our video right now with number 10. The game will never come out. How many times have we heard this and read this in the past decade, sometimes from some...
I'm very interested on what his take is here.
In famous game articles, and of course in plenty of comments in YouTube videos. Yes, progress have been slow. Yes, the game was announced in 2012, but planification for Star Citizen Alpha 1.0 is now ongoing, which means that the studio, Cloud Imperial Games, is now officially working on the release of the game. So that already straight out rules out.
If I was in the same room as him, as he was saying these things, the next thing I would ask him would be, so when do you think 1.0 is releasing? Right? CitizenCon next year or something? Like, there's no way it's not 2 or 3 years from now. So why even mention it? Everything will change 35 times from now till then. It is pointless to discuss. Star Citizen is as close to release as it was 10 years ago. In a lot of ways, right? It's always felt like it was like 2 or 3 years away. It still feels that way to me. Let me know if it still feels that way to you, but it still feels that way to me, and nothing about a letter from the chairman has changed that.
The fact that the game will never come out, they are working on it right now. Number 9,
he just stops there. How about the idea of, like, my take more is that I agree, it's one of the worst takes, it's stupid as hell, that the game will never come out. Mine is, it's already out. It's already out. It's an objectively bad game, but it is already out, and if 1.0 comes out soon, then it would be just as bad as the current experience now, because there's no way they would be able to put in all the systems and features to make a 1.0 fit what anybody backed, most likely. So, yeah. Now there's no game until there are no ongoing wipes. Like, yeah, I get it. But at the same time, you have something to experience that will grow over time. The other argument against the game will never come out is the game will never be finished, right? The game will never be finished. Well, obviously it will be never finished because it will always be worked on. Something like that. That might end up in this list as well.
Game doesn't need any more ships. So yeah, people are saying that we already have a lot of ships, over 200 ships if we include the variants. That is a lot indeed, but at the same time I think that we can never get enough of ships. Why? That's because I think that the more ships we have, the more diverse the game is, and those
Yeah, and I agree with that, but it's also come to the point where the game struggles to be made because of the incredible task that it is to balance 200 ships into a good and enjoyable experience. How long would it have taken to get master modes if we had 10 ships? Would that experience have as much depth? Of course not. And that's why I definitely agree with Erad. But the Star Citizen experience overall would have been much further along if we had less ships, less locations, less things to make feel like a video game, and more focus on getting the real base experience as good as possible. How can you ask for more depth if the foundational experience of the game is incredibly unpolished? You can't have depth when you don't have the base. And that's been the problem the entire time from every aspect of the game. The economy, the FPS experience, the ship experience, everything. They've overdone it on the number of things, the scale of things, the number of ships, the number of armors, the number of FPS weapons, that it's made it so whenever somebody tries to go back in and turn this into the game that we all want it to be, it is an incredibly difficult task. So there's the other argument that I see in chat is less ships equals less money, so unable to make the game, of course. That's another one as well, but I think that one's pretty obvious. And nobody, I don't think anybody here, myself or Erad, is saying CIGs should not make money. But I think I'm standing here and going, CIG should, especially if they're focused on 1.0, be focused on making a game, right?
ships, they can have diverse roles. They can be civilian, utilitarian, and of course combat ship. They can have different looks, different
but I largely agree
lore,
with you,
and
right?
that's why I believe that the more we have, the better it is. Now we're seeing this new trend now where we're having Mark IIs or Mark IIIs of existing ships. I think that's actually a good thing. Some people are against that. I'm all for that. It's like in real life where you have some cars that get updated or new versions and new marks. Well, that's exactly going to be the same with ships.
Fine with that.
Also, I don't think that CIG will stop ever selling ships, although they did say that they would, but I think it would be quite silly because it's a big part of their revenue. And
Connie's Mark IV, 3 or 4, and it needs another one.
It's a business in the end, and if they have revenue, then they are going to be creating more content in the future. At least
you know what? One of the 10 things people need to stop saying about Star Citizen is that it's a business, because they always take it from the standpoint of they need to make revenue. Yes, right? Because revenue is like something that happens before expenses. So yes, well, that is true. I think Erad takes the right standpoint about it. But a lot of people say they need to make money. And who needs to make money? Chris? The Calders? Why do we care about that? No, they need to make revenue. I think Erad took the exact approach that's correct here, is they need to make revenue to pay the developers who are going to make the game. Like, we don't need to care about whether or not the Calders make their money. Now, we watched that video from Morph the other day, and it looks like they're going to make their money either way. You know, whether it hurts the game or not, they're going to make it. But that's a whole nother story, right? It's more along the line of, why are we defending a corporation here when we should be standing in our own corner and saying, we need to make this game, man. We need to make this game good, and we need to make it a priority. And I think, going back to the letter for the chairman, I think that's what they're trying to say, is that they're shifting their priorities towards a 1.0 release, shifting their priorities towards making the game. And only time will tell if they actually do that.
The game has more chances of never going offline, and that's something that we wish, of course, for Star Citizen.
Of course.
Next, at number 8, we need PvE servers. Come on, guys. Star Citizen is an open world, open universe, and of course there are going to be players who are going to be around you, players who are going to be with you, against you. I think that instead of having PvE servers, Star Citizen is going to have PvE areas, which are going to be high security areas, where if you try to engage in PvP, which is non-consensual, then you are going to have a security response that's going to be overwhelming and will prevent you from doing anything
or
but
something
to
to that
surrender
extent.
or die. And that's where your PvP areas are going to be, versus some PvP areas like the Pyro system, for example, which is going to be completely lawless. And, you know, if you go there, just anything goes, and you...
But it can't just be anything goes. Like, in order for the game to be successful, it's going to want to draw players to those areas. And we'll see what that draw is. I did not see that draw in the Pyro playtest yet. I wasn't expecting to. There was a few things, like you could buy railguns there. You could buy certain guns that you can't buy in the Stanton system. I don't know how that should be necessarily. There's also some commodities that we didn't get to see during the Pyro playtest, but they were data mined. So there's some stuff there that could be new and exciting that draw you to a place like Pyro, even if you are a more lawful player, right? Or a non-PvP player.
Should be aware of that, just like PvPers will be aware that when they go to high security system like the future Terra system, for example, then, you know, PvP over there might be a little too risky for them. So that's how it's going to be.
Yeah. That's how we hope it's going to be. Because currently, there is no risk for anybody in the game. The risk really, and I think that's why PvE or more casual players get pretty upset, is the idea of they're the only ones that are losing anything in this situation. In a lot of cases, it's like, damn, dude, I spent 3 hours waiting for those gold ticks at SMO 10, and I finally filled my C2, and now I'm going to trade, and I got pirated. And it's like, all that time is wasted, and it's just a miserable experience. I just think that there's no risk to really anybody outside of like, damn, I just had my time wasted, you know? And that's part of the problem. I think there's no like heart-pounding moments of, you know, something might happen to my stuff or
7,
whatever.
the game will be outdated at launch. And I think that the last CitizenCon proved that wrong. CIG always iterates on their game. The game already looks graphically much better than it did a couple of years ago, and as more technologies are coming in, Gen 12 for example, and eventually Vulkan, then the game is going to be looking even better with...
Yeah, yes and no. I think part of the constant updates to keep up with things like Unreal Engine 5 and other studios that are really pushing visuals as well. Star Citizen always used to look above and beyond every other game, and now it's starting to be on par with other games. CitizenCon looked incredible. It did look above a lot of games in that case, but it doesn't look above every game anymore. And I think this has held the game back as well.
More technology that are going to be helping, like for example sun shafts, and also the new water technology. Starcloth also is going to be playing a big role for that, and of course the new character creation is going to take character creation to the next level in Star Citizen. So I don't think the game will look outdated. I think that Cloud Imperial Games are continue to iterate on the game looks. And also if you look at some...
I don't think it's going to look outdated because they've always made it a priority to not look outdated. What they haven't made a priority is making the damn game.
All the games that were released a long time ago, especially live service games that were released a long time ago, some of them have been graphically updated and still look quite okay today. So that's why I don't think that there's anything to worry about here. At number 6, we don't know where the money goes. I can't believe it, guys, but yes, there are still people who do believe that Chris Roberts siphons the funds of Cloud Imperial Games to buy himself some cars or some...
He pays himself a salary. So does his wife. So does his brother. So does his lawyer.
Villas in the Bahamas or whatever. No, that is...
I don't think he's siphoning the money and this is some sort of like incredible scheme where he's taking all the money. The developers get paid. His lawyer, Ortwin, his buddy, you know. These guys are all on the board. You think they're not They don't have shares. They're not getting a piece of the pie. You know, of course they are. Right? So there is something there to this comment, but not in the way that it is implied in the video, which is he's taking all the money and not making the game. No, most of the money is going to the game, but he is also taking a salary. And he said a C-level salary, which is of a AAA studio. And the man definitely thinks or is striving to be like, you know, Blizzard or whatever, because we knew in 2018, 2017, they wanted to sell CitizenCon on the website like Blizzard does, like a virtual ticket or something. Like they're kind of delusional in that way at times with how big the game is like, but we don't know what he pays himself. We kind of can look, I think, at in the salaries, but it's hard to tell, and it's one of those things where, yeah, he's taking some money, dude. Blizzard is delusional too. Fair. But like I think that's kind of how they look at themselves sometimes is that they're bigger than they are. And you know, you haven't shipped a game yet. Squadron's looking cool. Things are getting interesting, but the man's taking a salary. Wife's on the board, brother's on the board, brother's taking a salary. There are a lot of things to point at and go, that shit looks fishy, and it's not good. But in the end, hiring tons of developers, never heard a developer say they didn't get paid. You know, got a bunch of people from CryEngine when they went down, got all those people jobs, gave them security, all this stuff. So there's no way you can like really point at Chris and be like, you are doing something incredibly malicious and incredibly bad. I don't know what percentage of the money, but a significant percentage of the money has went into the endless pit that is Star Citizen development and literally went through the pyro jump point and never came out the other side for the last X amount of years. But it went towards Star Citizen, right? And that's just, it is what it is. So I don't look at this as he is incredibly malicious, but the man's taking a salary, and it looks fishy as fuck, but it is what it is.
Not true. We all know that because CIG are releasing their financial every year. They're public. Anybody can have a look at them. Sometimes they're even independently audited. So we really know what's going on here, and we know where the money is going. So no.
Wait. Are we pointing out that they were independently audited, but isn't the big thing that they didn't give the information to the auditor? Wasn't that the big thing about Morph's video? So you can't point at them and go, we're independently audited, and then not give the information and be like, guys, we're good. We're independently audited. And then the auditor is like, dude, you're not giving me the information I need to audit you. My dad's an auditor. So I talked to him about it. Like, these things happen, and it's never a good thing, like in these situations.
We actually do know where the money goes. At
so you
number
don't know
5,
where the money goes,
non-consensual PvP is griefing. Please, guys, please, when you go into Star Citizen, you know that this is an open world and that there are going to be players around there. You should be aware that you may encounter enemies, you may encounter players who are not friendly and you just want to kill other people. It's part of what Star Citizen is. You should be more aware of that, and I think that if you play Star Citizen, you should be aware of how to avoid those areas, those places where people just come and want to shoot you down. It is what it is, unfortunately. I'm not going to justify that, but at the same time, it's also the reality, and that's the nature of the game. Number 4, it's
I don't have much to add to
tech
that.
demo. It's not a game, and a game.
It is a tech demo. It is not a game. I will fight to the death on this one. Like the fucking cable guy, okay? It is 100% a tech demo. Everything they do is to prove that Star Citizen can be done, not that Star Citizen is a game. Everything, We can do mining. We can do cargo hauling. We can do medical. We can do all these things. Okay? That's the argument, is that you have all these things in the game, but we do not have them cohesively working together into a game. It is 100% a tech demo. It is 100% there to prove to backers and to other players that Star Citizen is possible. Is everything is tier 0, nothing communicates to each other, nothing creates a cohesive video game experience. How can you argue that it is not a tech demo? It is a pre-alpha at the very least, which is a hilarious thing to say as well.
And I don't think that this is true anymore. Now, yeah, a couple of years ago, it definitely was a tech demo when they released.
A couple of years ago, it was definitely a tech demo. How is today's experience any different? I can't wait to hear what he says.
Those new techs, the baby universe, the way the ships were working, and even when the planet tech was out, that's true. But since then, a lot of content has been added into the game, and you can really enjoy playing Star Citizen for hours and hours. You can set your own goals in the game and your own progression, reputation.
No. It's not that you can set your own goals. It's that you have to, Erad. It's that you have to. You have no choice but to set your own goals, because there are no goals and there is no progression, because there is no game. This is the only one that I will hard argue against. Yeah, just make a machinima. That's your goal. I'm so happy for you. You can do that in a tech demo. A tech demo doesn't have to have a negative connotation on it either, right? Is there anything wrong with Star Citizen being considered a tech demo right now, outside of the time it's taken and the way that they've communicated the development process to the players, making it seem like it's going to come out sooner than it is? Those are the negatives. But is Star Citizen being a tech demo a bad thing? No, not in my opinion. It needs to prove that it can happen. And it has been very difficult for them to prove that it can happen. Server meshing, right? That's been the thing over 4 or 5 or 6 years. That has been incredibly difficult for them to do. But they need to do that to prove that this thing is possible. And the developers at the company have said time and time again, not some random YouTuber on YouTube like Erad or myself who don't know shit. And, well, Erad might know more than me, but I'm going to speak for myself. I don't know shit, but I know what the developers say, and they are not willing to sacrifice time and dedication to develop features that are going to have to completely change when Star Citizen is possible. They have left the game a tech demo on purpose until they can prove that they can make the game. It is a fact. It is not an opinion. These are facts. Okay? Star Citizen is a tech demo because they are still proving out the tech. They are not making the game. Now that server meshing worked, immediately after that, what did they do? They went out and they put out a letter saying, we are going to make the game now. That's what they did. That's what the whole 1.0 letter was. We are now going to prioritize making a game. And it's going to take years, in my opinion, at least. But in their eyes, we did it. So now we can start making the game. So the argument of it's a tech demo doesn't have to come with a negative connotation, especially right now when they're finally starting to prove out the tech that makes it possible. I look at this as game development, and it's normal. That it's just the process in which Star Citizen decided to do it is completely insane and stupid, and we're lucky that it worked. That's it. But I just don't say Star Citizen is a tech demo as a negative thing. I say it to players because when they come to my Twitch channel at the very least and go, hey, is Star Citizen ready to play yet? Or, hey, I'm new to this game. What ship should I buy? Or, hey, is Star Citizen a good game? My argument is always no to almost all those questions because it's not a game yet. It's a tech demo. And again, There's nothing wrong with it being a tech demo. There's lots of things you can enjoy. Just like Erad said, you can make machinimas like Erad did. But I just don't put the negative connotation on tech demo that he's placing on it and that other people place on it. It's just part of the process. It's just CIG decided to put certain things in front of building out the tech, right? A normal game studio would have already solved the server meshing issue before ever making their 10th spaceship or their third planetary body or their second star system. I wouldn't say before the pitch, but probably soon after the pitch. It's just not the way you do things. And it's what has extended the process out. But here we are. And it is what it is. And I'm sorry, it's a tech demo.
Is already in
it's just
there,
not a bad thing
and
that it
although
is.
it's still in alpha stage, it's not really a tech demo. It's just a game that's in alpha stage and in which they are iterating and they add extra feature. But saying that it is a tech demo is not accurate anymore, given all the features that are now available for us to play. Next, we have number 3 and number 2. They're kind of similar here. Number 3, please, guys, it's time that we stop talking about hangars. We do not use hangars in Star Citizen. We use hangars. They almost sound the same. They almost are spelled the same, but there's a big difference. A hanger is something that you use to hang your clothes. A hanger is...
So he wanted to make a 10 things video, but couldn't come up with 10 things, so he put that one in.
Where we put our ships, and we don't have any hangars. Although it would be really fun if one day CIG does put hangars for us to put the clothes that we have inside our ships or inside our homes. I think that it would be hilarious. And the same goes with number 2, guys. There is no such place as Lorville in Star Citizen. The capital city of Hurston, the main settlement there, is called Lorville, but there is no location called Lorville because, well, there is no place that talks about the lore, although it would be really fun if one day Clan Imperial Games create some kind of minor settlement or a small outpost that's actually called Lorville as opposed to Lorville, so that then people are going to be really confused in game as like, you know, hey, we're going to meet in Lorville, but actually they meant Lorville and vice versa, and they cannot get to the right place. I think that CIG need to make that happen. It would be so much fun.
Bro, if this is 2 and 3, what's number 1 gonna be?
All the confusion that people have had regarding the spelling of the major landing zone on Hurston. And finally, number 1. Now let's go back to some more serious business. The game will never be finished. Kind of similar to how the game will never come out, but not exactly the same at the same time. Because yes,
no, because it's significantly stupider than the game will not come out. Like anybody who says the game will never be finished is literally saying that the game will not go gold or 1.0 or whatever. That it is exactly the same. It's just using different words.
Star Citizen Alpha 1.0 will not be the final version promised by Clan Imperial Games all these years ago. Instead, it's going to be a minimum viable product, but a released product nevertheless. So that's why I think that Star Citizen will actually never be finished. Yes, this time it is true, but you don't need to repeat that.
I mean, it will be finished whenever it dies. And all games die at some point, but that'll be the only time, whenever they stop developing it.
Over and over again. We know that Star Citizen will never be finished. And
point.
Actually, I believe that it's a good thing, because that means that if they've never finished Star Citizen, it means they're always going to be working on Star Citizen, and they're always going to be adding more things. Yeah, maybe we're going to have at some point base building, maybe at some point we're going to have 100 star systems, but you know what? Maybe they will add even more star systems. Maybe they will create new star systems for us to create. Maybe we will have new locations, new landing zones, new places every month or every quarter, even after all of the features that they announced all the way back are eventually completed, maybe in 15 or 20 years. We've seen games running for a very long time. EVE Online has been there for 21 years now and still up and running. There's no reason why Star Citizen wouldn't be able to do the same if it is successful. So there we have it, guys. 10 things that we need to stop saying about Star Citizen. Of course, if you want to do, that's totally fine. But but I just wanted to talk about these 10 things that we hear very often or that we read very often in the comment section down below. Do you have any other thing that sometimes get a little under your skin about what people say?
Let me try and think of one. Things that people need to stop saying about Star Citizen. It's a scam. At least in the way that they say it. Because again, it goes along the lines of the money is not being spent on the game and Chris is taking all of it or whatever. It's 100% not a scam. I guess one of the things that's kind of scammy and that will eventually be maybe pretty damn scammy is they took all the money, made Squadron 42 with it, and really invested into the PU. And what we're getting back from that is like 323. And then whenever Squadron releases, they're probably going to keep a lot of that money, right?
About Star Citizen, let me know in the comment section
that's the
down
one
below.
I think they shouldn't
say. That is
say.
all for this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know with the comments or with a thumbs up. It really helps a lot. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so. Only half of the people who watch the channel are subscribed, and it really helps with the algorithm. You can also help out on Patreon or via the YouTube Joe membership program as well for exclusive videos and also giveaways. A big shout out to Dr. Fabin, Zero Kashade, Por Fidel, and Ducky to Ducker. I've been Iran, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
I saw the end screen stuff. It was good. That was a good video. I enjoyed it. Mostly agree with most of those things. People do got to stop saying that stuff, and most of it's super goofy and silly. But the one thing the hill that I will die on is it's a tech demo. It just is. It just is. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's true, though.